Now, I don't know about you guys, but obviously, leading up to the draft, I was glued to my phone at every point I could during the day. Like, even at work and that, I was trying to sneak peeks at what was going on.
Tisk,
And
tisk, tisk.
it really felt like the tide was turning that the Canadians were actually going to take Matvei Michkov. There was word they were tabling like 5 different offers, Frank Cervelli was saying, for the 5th overall pick, but they were keeping the selection, including Nashville offering Yaroslav Askarov, which I saw and I was like, please don't do that. Please don't.
You would
Never
never
forget.
hear the end of it.
I would have cried. I absolutely would have cried. Um, the Canadians keep the pick though. They bring out the man, Carey Price, my love, to the last player they selected 5th overall back in '05 to make the selection. And I cannot tell you how much I wanted to hear him say Matvei Michkov. He goes up, David.
Oh,
Jay looks behind him to Rob Ramage and everyone. It takes an uncomfortably long time for Kent Hughes to go up to Carey Price and say, takes the mic. We meant to do that. It's David Reinbacher. Um, oh my God. They could let's just talk about the good stuff before I lose my mind over this pick.
yeah, yeah.
First off, Carey Price apparently felt really, really bad about this, and it was funny that Pekka Rinne screwed up a pick announcement later in the draft too, as Lalongo tweeted out. Rough night for the Tendies. But apparently Carey Price was like really sorry to him, and he's been like mentoring him about like dealing with Montreal because Reinbacher has already received quite a few. I don't know what to say from Habs fans, but
Backlash. I don't know.
idiots, stop! Don't be awful people. That goes without saying, but we feel like we need to mention it anyway. Let's not send rude remarks to an Austrian teenager. I mention that because you can imagine. I don't think I need to say anymore, but look up a famous Austrian around World War II and you'll know. Um, oh man.
The good. What's the good?
So
What's the good?
so that Carey Price was really cool to him and everything. Like that's good.
That's the good? No,
And
come on. There's
and
more
he
of him.
seems like he has a good attitude about the fact that he had probably the most outrageous, furious, passionate to a fault sometimes fan base ruining the day for the kid.
Yeah.
Um, it looked like Carey Price was sort of like being good with him. And it sounded like the organization was sort of there for him, which thank God, because if this is the Bergevin era, they would have just blamed him and then traded him for an aging center who was past his prime. Anyway, or a depth guy. Dwight King, never forget. Listen, I just need to go off for a bit here, guys.
No, I
Give me
know,
a
but
minute.
what's the good there? But there's good about the pick. Let's.
We're gonna
I
get to
sense
that.
there's still
We're gonna
good in
get
him.
to the good of the pick,
Okay.
but I just
Okay.
need to let some steam off here.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of text messages after that pick. A lot of people I told I needed time. Other people stopped it because they recognized I needed time.
I think I just left you alone.
Because it got worse. So apparently the reason the Canadians did not trade down with Philly was because they thought Arizona were going to take Reinbacher.
Okay.
And then Philly goes on. Arizona picked their guy. I don't care about the Coyotes. They're not getting the attention today. And Philly do what everyone knew what they were going to do, and they took Matvei Michkov. Okay.
No one can say anything now, right? Like
the coffee video is dead. They can't do that.
Yeah.
The moment Michkov scores a goal against the Habs, I'm not going to go on Twitter ever again. Okay.
Like everyone has to eat that up.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Everyone
No,
has to take it because
there's
they've been
crap.
dishing it.
So here's what I'm going to say. First off, I don't think this is as much of a reach of a pick that Kotkaniemi was. That one was the clearest thing of picking for position I think I've ever seen. Like that was bad. Like that was bad. And I've seen guys from like the elite prospect scouts who I trust more than respect, with all respect, a lot of people really talking about the upside of this player, right? So I trust them. I recognize the fact that a top pairing of him and Lane Hudson or Caden Gooley is going to be amazing. And the Habs defensive prospects are, chef's kiss. I love it, except for Logan May. I do. I see that. I'm like, that's great. I like that. However, you will never again. I'm not saying I've lost total sort of trust for Kent Hughes, and that group, but there's going to be an asterisk now because you cannot tell me and justify to me Forget about the Russian contract and all that. You cannot dare look me in the eyes and see that David Reinbacher at 5, I want to say this very clearly, at 5 was the best player available, which is the philosophy Kent Hughes was singing about.
So
and apparently, just one more thing before I throw the air out.
Yeah, I was just
all the scouts were unanimous on this. Listen, I get if people like it, but if every single scout, if a business is ran by people and every single person agrees, there's something wrong. So, but I don't, it was wrong. It was wrong. It was the wrong pick.
You say he's not the best player available, and I would agree, right? Like Matvei Michkov's there, and I mean we can go through that. I think there's things that have been said that, to be honest, are so counterintuitive to the way people want to talk about how hockey should be moving forward, and how we've been discussing Matvei Michkov is beyond me. But whatever, we can talk about that after. You say best player available. So obviously Michkov's one of those guys that you would have picked ahead of Reinbacher.
Yeah.
I look at the rest of the top 10. After Reinbacher is Simashev, which again, that's a big reach by the Coyotes. Like
Simashev,
I think consensus. The fact
that's worse than Reinbacher.
Yeah. Yeah, but this goes even with the Michkov stuff of what he was saying to teams. I don't know if you've heard that interview.
Oh, it got me more mad.
Right, because the justification for why Montreal didn't take him is worse. So then you have Simashev, which was a reach. Ryan Leonard, who went to Washington at 8. Nate Danielson, who went to Detroit at 9, and Dalibor Dvorsky, who went to St. Louis at 10.
Yeah.
Who would you take? Or I mean, we can go down the list. Like, how many players there are you looking at and saying I would take them ahead of David Reinbacher?
Name you didn't mention, and I hate the fact Buffalo got him. I would have been fine with Zach Benson at that pick.
Yeah, at 13.
That one's insane to me. I cannot believe he fell that far. Leonard, I would have been okay with in that tier. That was a guy I wanted. Those are the guys. I would have been fine with Benson or Leonard at that. But obviously, Michkov is number 1, but those would have been the other
outside
guys.
of him.
Yeah. I'm seriously, I'm so shocked Detroit didn't take Benson, really. But I'm very high on Zach Benson.
I'm not going to repeat what you said. I pretty much agree with what you said about the Reinbacher stuff. Like, I think it's pretty, to me, it's like, yeah, I get it. You need a right-handed defenseman. He's available. You think he's going to be taken next at 6, which is possible. I just don't understand them not taking Michkov, because and I guess we can talk about it now if you want, is I want to say it was 32 Thoughts. It was Friedman who mentioned that what Michkov was really saying to teams was he wanted to be in a market where the people cared, and what was it? A bigger market?
Cared about a market that wanted to win and a market that cared about the game of hockey. You're describing
so you're right. And so the justification for not there's no justification to me for not taking Michkov at 5. Like, I don't understand how we're talking about Michkov. I get it. The there's the Russian contract scenario. There's I don't know what else there is outside of there. How many, like, we're talking about people mention the downside of his game. He's 18 years old, first of all. He's 18 years old. I'm telling you, he'll get better.
Hey, Alex.
You'll figure it out.
He's in a men's league. He's doing well.
Hey,
he has one of the best draft years in Russia compared to Alexander Ovechkin.
Just quick question. Does anyone care that Ovechkin doesn't play defense? I'll just leave that there.
Right.
Yeah.
The way people are talking about Matvei Michkov is so counterintuitive. you'd think he doesn't want to come to the NHL, but on multiple occasions now, including from his agent, we've heard that he wants to come over.
The Flyers shut down their facility to secretly talk to him. Like, guys, come on.
You knew he was coming. You knew he's coming.
He came to the draft.
I think it's the fact, and let's not, we all know what this is. Let's not pretend we don't know what the Matvei Michkov thing is. I'm not going to say where he's from, but let's just put 2 and 2 together here.
The Habs
That's
also
what this
drafted a Russian who then signed a 3-year contract in the KHL. So it's like, okay. So we can wait for this 20-year-old, but not the super talented 18-year-old. Okay, cool. Weird. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he was coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know different circumstances globally, especially right now. But again, Pittsburgh took Evgeny Malkin 2nd overall.
Oh, God,
they had to wait for him. You know, there was the lockout. I know that, but also he didn't come right away.
People have to look up the Malkin story. It's a very fascinating one for hockey fans. I hate this team. Like, I'm actually so like, I don't want to hate Reinbacher because he's going to be a great player. Like he is.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that Michkov was there and the missed thing is going to unfairly follow that player for the rest of his career. That's the big problem here. And what I don't like is management then saying, do you know what? The negative attention is probably what doesn't help people wanting to come to Montreal. And I have never felt more insulted as a fan in my entire life. Now, I'm not condoning people referring to him as a former
German chancellor.
I don't want to say the name, but everyone saw the tweet. Again,
actually, I didn't see the tweet.
World War II. People, like, I am not in any way, shape, or form condoning that kind of stuff. Words can't describe how messed up in the head you are to send that kind of stuff to an 18-year-old. Like, you are actually, like, there is something wrong with you. Like, seriously. So, it's just blaming your fan base for.
Sorry, can you explain what it? I didn't see this.
I didn't see
Would you mind
either.
explaining what happened?
An Athletic articles had it where someone from the Canadiens management team, unnamed, quoted the negative attention that David Reinbacher was getting as a factor that could stop free agents coming to Montreal.
Welcome to Canada.
To which I said, have you ever been involved in a sports franchise ever?
In Canada.
No, just not even just them. Like Formula One reference. How much shit does Lewis Hamilton get?
Right.
How many? I'm sorry. I'm not condoning stuff like that, but then blaming your fans for like stop it. Because then what you're doing as a team is then you're all of a sudden bringing all of the fan base together. I'm not tweeting crap like that at him.
And it's making excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Guy, I'm sorry to say this, but like this is a fact, and this is the Canadians who, after they fired Bergeron, saying we're going to do great and put this like mental health medical team together. Guys, I hate to say this because it's an ugly part of reality in 2023, but we need to face the facts that like negativity and like the world of social media is the way it is, and nothing's going to change that. So the fact that you are then going to say, hey there, guys, because you know what? I'm sure no one ever signed with the Dallas Cowboys because of negative fans. Guys, like the reason no one wants to come and play in Montreal is for the taxes. Like, let's be honest here. And, the stuff of like whatever's going on with the language bill and all that stuff and every Canadian thing. And like, let's be honest, Zach Bogosian could still be a Leaf if, all the lockdown stuff didn't happen. So don't you dare try and blame the fan base for that.
That was personal. That was personal.
Yeah, I know. I needed to bring it together. If I have this pain right now for another goddamn draft year.